So it's 2020, Modern Warfare sucks, there's nothing popular, and I haven't made a video in weeks. And because of all three of those factors, today we are going to be talking about something that is not going to be happening for a very long time, probably 10 months, and that is the release of the next Call of Duty game. And who else is hyped? Probably no one right now, because we know absolutely nothing about this game. But regardless, we are going to be talking about this game, and there's a lot of different things I want to talk about in relation to this game, and I just want to kind of share my thoughts on this game. But before I do that, I want to hear your guys' opinions before you guys hear my opinions on this entire thing. What do you guys want to see out of Black Ops 5, or whatever it may be called, whatever Treyarch's next game is called? Like, what do you want to see out of campaign, multiplayer, zombies, if there's even a zombies mode, but that seems pretty likely since it is Treyarch. But just tell me all of your thoughts about this game, because we're going to be starting off with my thoughts, and the first one is going to be a complete contradiction to something I just said, and that is that I hope to a very high place that it is not called Black Ops 5. I do not want to see this game being called Black Ops 5, nor do I want to see any reboot of the Black Ops series. I mean, how can you reboot a series that had just released a game a year ago? Like, it doesn't make any sense, or I guess 2 years ago now, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense to reboot that series. And I don't think anybody wants to see a continuation of the Black Ops series, because it seems like, I mean, it already seemed like in Black Ops 4 that they were just milking the Black Ops name, and now it just seems like, I mean, it would seem even worse than that. I honestly don't know how much worse it could get, but it seems, I think it would seem worse than that at least. So, you know, I just don't want to see the Black Ops title surrounding this game unless it's something clever that I haven't thought of yet, but I just don't want to see it. I think the game has ran its course. It should have been a trilogy and not whatever. What would 4 be? If 3 is a trilogy, what the heck is a 4G? That sounded weird, so we're not going to say that ever again. But regardless, that's the first thing I want to say, is that I just hope it's not a Black Ops game. I hope it's a new, not IP, I guess not IP because it's still Call of Duty, but, you know, a new sub-IP, I guess we could call it, or subtitle, or is this I don't even know how things work, so, you know, maybe we'll just leave it at that. But regardless, that is the first thing I don't want to see with this game, or just what I am hoping is going to be happening with this next Call of Duty game. But of course, the other thing I want to talk about, and I just want to give some general things on the different game modes inside this upcoming game, of course starting with campaign. Now, I know a lot of people don't really care about campaign all too much, but I mean, I want to start there anyways, because I have a very interesting idea, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this idea, because I've been saying this for a very long time, but a lot of people don't seem to really care when I say it because of reasons. But regardless, what I'm saying here is that Treyarch should obviously stick to their psychological type of storytelling. That's what they have done from Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and especially in Black Ops 3, where they kind of went overboard with the psychological aspect or genre of the game, and people just, it was so psychological, people just didn't even know what the heck happened when they beat the game. They were just so confused. So, of course, they should keep that thing, but remember not to do a Black Ops 3 again, and definitely don't do a Black Ops 4, because obviously there was not a campaign in Black Ops 4. But regardless, after keeping the, I guess, the identity of Treyarch storytelling, of course being psychological, I think what they should do is have this story set in an alternate history. And I'm saying history and not future, but an alternate history, because personally, what I have found to be a major problem with Treyarch, or just Call of Duty and their storytelling in general, is that for the longest time they were tied down by what they could do with the story based on what actually happened in the past or what is currently happening. And for this reason, I think this is the reason why they went into the future, and it really helped their storytelling because they could do a lot of different things, because obviously the future hasn't happened yet. I don't know if you guys realize that, even if we're in 2020, there is still years after that, believe it or not. So, you know, it was just kind of an easier way to tell a story where nothing is really stuck behind what actually happened. And for this reason is the reason why I think we should have an alternate history, because we get the best of both worlds here. Of course, us as Call of Duty fans don't want to see a game set in the future, and of course the storytellers want to have this freedom of storytelling, and by putting in an alternate history sometime in the past, we could have a free story not restrained by what actually happened in history, and also we could still have it set in the time that we of course know happened in the past. So that is what I've been saying about the story of Call of Duty for the longest time, and I really hope they decide to do it, because I just really love the idea of alternate history. I'm not saying to do like what's that game called where I was just about to say the word that's probably would not be too happy money with YouTube, but the Germans a long time ago, let's just say that. I'm not saying to make a game like Wolfenstein, that's the name of the game, but I just want to see some sort of maybe slightly alternate history, because I still want it to be grounded but not restraining the storytelling of the game, and I just want to see something like that. It's funny, actually, I was just talking about it and all of a sudden I got a notification for Wolfenstein. That is weird, but regardless, now talking about this, I've already spent too much time on campaign, even though I have another idea about campaign, but we'll have to save that for another day, which is obviously never going to happen because I'm never talking about campaign ever again. But regardless, the next thing I want to talk about is, I was going to say multiplayer, but we're going to zombies. And first thing about zombies is that it better exist. Like, if it don't exist, I'm not buying the game. Like, I'll probably buy it because I really like Treyarch games, but I want to see a zombies game because we've had a year without zombies, which is a good thing, but if you have a year without zombies, that means you have to have then zombies return, right? But with the zombies mode, I really started thinking about this because obviously this is probably the one I'm most passionate about out of all the modes inside a Call of Duty game, because I just put so much time into this and effort and work into it and in my YouTube channel. So this one's the one I'm most passionate about, and of all the things I could think of that I could say about what I want out of this zombies mode, and I thought of all the gameplay things, I thought of just really everything, but I can't help but say the story, because it was obvious to me, especially in Black Ops 4, that what really sold the zombies mode was the Ether storyline, because I would argue that DLC 1 and 2 were astronomically better in terms of gameplay compared to DLC 3 and 4, yet way more people cared about those last two maps compared to the other two, and it was obvious why, because DLC 1 and 2 were Chaos and DLC 3 and 4 were Ether, and for it to be successful, for any zombies mode to seem to be successful, it seems like it has to be Ether, and which is something I never expected, because I always thought the main draw of zombies was gameplay, but it seems like it actually may be story. And with the Ether storyline seemingly ending in Black Ops 4, it kind of raises the question exactly what's going to go on, because personally I don't want to see Chaos again. I just don't think it really has that great of a future with the franchise, or with the zombies mode, not really the franchise, so I just don't see that there. And I wouldn't mind a reboot of the Ether storyline, even though we kind of got a soft reboot of it all the way back in Black Ops 2, but it's just hard for me to ask for a reboot of this Ether storyline and just kind of have them forget everything that the Ether storyline, like, think about this, this is going to still be the Ether storyline except rebooted, right? And that means we're going to leave behind everything we know about the Ether storyline from the last 10 plus years, 10 plus years at this point. So I just don't like that. I just don't like that. If we're still going to be having this Ether storyline with the same characters, I don't like abandoning everything that we've kind of went through all this time. And I know the popular thing to say is that we should completely start from scratch, have a new story, or go with Chaos, because that's what people just like to say, but I just don't think that's actually what people want out of this game. They want to see Ether, but I don't know if they want to see it rebooted. Personally, if it's going to be rebooted, I'd prefer a soft reboot like we got with Origins, because I don't want everything in the past that has happened to be useless. I want that to still mean something to the story if it's still going to be Ether. That's just how I feel about it, and I honestly don't know how they should handle it. I really don't. I know I said I wanted the soft reboot, but I don't even know if that's the right path. But really, I think that you need to find a nice place in the middle. I think definitely they're going to find a way to bring Ether back, because what they saw with what I mentioned at the start of this and just seeing the popularity between an Ether map and a non-Ether zombies map. So it seems like the logical thing for them to do, at least from a monetary standpoint, is to bring Ether back, but I just don't know how they're going to do it. I feel like it's going to be in the I guess the idea of a reboot, and I just don't know if I like a strong reboot. And I know the problem that people have with Ether right now is that if you want to get into this story, like, you had to have jumped in like forever ago, because this Ether storyline really started to build itself back in Black Ops 1. I mean, yeah, of course there was World at War, but it really wasn't building there until the final map. So the story finally started in Black Ops 1, and then, you know, kind of, you know, took off from there. So it's already been a decade since Black Ops 1 came out. So you're going to really have to go back and look at all of the story from back then, and it's going to be really hard for anybody who wants to get into the story. And that's why I feel like the best way to handle this is just to have a contained story inside the game, of course still having influence from what has happened in the past. I feel like Black Ops 3 did a really good job at this, because Black Ops 3, everyone could understand what was going on in the story of Black Ops 3, but there was also the story of zombies inside there, and that's how I feel like the best possible way to handle this game is to have it either have the story contained to the game, but also for the hardcore story fans, you should also be able to let them see the connections from the past, but not force those connections of the past to what is currently happening in the present of the storyline. And that's just how I personally feel about this. And you know, that probably went on for a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's just, of course, something I'm very passionate about, so I'm probably was going to do that to begin with. But that leaves us with multiplayer, and this one was the hardest one for me to think what I wanted out of multiplayer, because I just don't know anymore, because like, I think Modern Warfare tried to give us what we wanted out of it, but then I hated it, so I don't know. Like, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I know there's things I don't want to see, but what I actually want out of it, I just don't know. And I love to hear what you guys want out of multiplayer more, because I mean, I feel like in the last two Call of Duties we have had the two extremes. Like in Modern Warfare we have the extreme of super campy, super cluttery, is that a word? I don't know, but you know, maps are very cluttered, and it just catered to this play style that I just really don't like, and I hate playing anything that has anything to do with. And then we had Black Ops 4, which was super fast paced. Even I would even argue it was more fast paced than some of the jetpacks games that we got, and with so many things in that game making it fast paced, just by the sliding where you can slide around a corner to take out campers, or the grapple gun if you wanted to use that, or just so many different things, or just how the maps were designed to flow very fluently, where there was nothing that really impeded you, because even if there were campers you could just slide kill them and stuff like that. And I feel like they were the two extremes. So all I can really say about multiplayer is that, I mean, I hope it's I don't know, fun. That's all I want out of multiplayer. I just want it to be fun. I don't know how to make something just solely fun. I mean, that's kind of a problem for like every video game maker ever. Of course, if they just knew how to make it fun, then obviously I would at least assume they would try to make it that as much as possible. But I just don't know about multiplayer more. Like, I just don't. Like, I hate the current multiplayer. The multiplayer before that was just, you know, it was a little too much of what I wanted, and I'm just in a weird place right now with Call of Duty's multiplayer, and I just don't know what I want out of it anymore. So I'd really would love to hear what you guys want out of multiplayer in the next Call of Duty game, because I honestly don't know. Like, I honestly have no idea. But regardless, that's all of this, and that don't make too much sense. I mean, that's all of this was I even mean, but what I meant to say is that's about it for this video. And if you guys did enjoy it, I'd love to see that you guys would like the video, subscribe if you guys aren't, bell if you haven't already, share it around. I mean, that's just the extreme of, obviously most people aren't going to share, but if you want to do that, that would be kind of epic. But regardless, Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything Black Ops 5 related. What do you think the name's going to be? What do you think about campaign, multiplayer, zombies, and all that stuff? I just love to hear everything you have to say about Treyarch's next Call of Duty game. But that's about for me, and I guess I'll catch you guys hopefully in the next video. That's going to be, you know, not a couple weeks later, and something I'm actually going to be doing sooner rather than later. But regardless, that's about for me. If you guys did enjoy, I already said that, so we're not going to repeat ourselves. So yeah, catch you guys next stream video or whatever it may be, and laters, guys.